Now I'm up to turn 21 in my playthrough of Blood on the Tigris, the First World War in Mesopotamia. And it's July of 1916. We are now in the dry season again, so better for land movement, not so good for gunboats. And in this picture, one of the things that we have happen, we're seeing the air battles. And again, remember, these air units represent one airplane each. So you have a Fokker DR-1 here, and you have a short. And the one half is the air-to-air ability of the short. The Fokker DR-1 has a 3, so you see what happens. I have it marked in the picture. The Fokker shoots down a short. So this guy crashes his plane in the Tigris River there, right next to the 23rd Division. Anyway, I do launch an attack as the British here, and I've got the 13th Division and the 23rd Division are attacking the Turkish 6th Division, which is kind of providing that defense right along that track, heading up toward Azizia. And so there are exchanges, which means both sides suffer, some step losses, but that is where it ends, and there's no progress made. We now go to turn 22. This is August 1916, and back to dry weather here. So the British are continuing their efforts to capture Azizia, and this is defended again by the 6th Division, but it has plenty of support here. And you can see in the rear there's some German volunteer units in there and some German artillery that won't be involved in this battle, but it's up near Ctesiphon in the north. Despite it being dry, risked having HMS Butterfly and Dragonfly and some other gunboats get up into this combat by bringing in, and they didn't end up running aground, which is great. And I have some air support here, as you can see, depicted. I get a bloody exchange as shown, so the 6th Division is really holding out in this small town and really doing its job at delaying the British. We now go to September 1916. This is turn 23. We're still fighting around the same area. And we have, the same British forces are attacking. I've got the gunboats up there. And finally, they're able to capture the town of Azizia. And the 6th Division fights down to the last man. I mean, they did their job for sure at holding this, and the British have captured it, but now they've got to move along this track, and they're now going to run into trenches, which are defended here by the 51st Infantry Division. And then right to the rear of them in trenches, we have some German units. So it's not going to get any easier for the British. We now go to turn 24. It's October 1916, still having a dry season, and we have a little bit more activity as the British player continues to advance toward Baghdad. So even though I've captured Azizia, I still have the Turkish 6th remnants of it, as well as the 52nd Division and the 51st Division to deal with. And they end up launching a counterattack against me because I'm not in a good position as the British here. I'm a little bit overextended, and as expected, both sides suffer some heavy casualties. The British side needs to build up a little bit more supply. You don't see a lot of supply here, but obviously because of interior lines, you see all those depots that are stockpiled there by the Turks. We now go on to turn 25. It is November of 1916, still dry, but I do have the British up here with a bunch of gunboats that were able to make it up to support the attack of the 23rd Infantry Division. Anyway, I keep calling it the 23rd Division. because it says 23 on there, but I believe that was a misprint corrected by Errata. I think that's supposed to be the 3rd Division, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It looks like I have it right in the graphic in the picture that the 3rd Division is attacking the Turkish 51st, which is in trenches. And you can see this is just south of Ctesiphon, which has, a double supply depot parked in it. And that's a fortified area. You can see a little bit of the fortification mark under Ctesiphon. And that's worth 1 victory point, but I have to get through it to get to Baghdad. That's where my real victory points are going to be. Also, you can see in the Tigris River there, another British airplane has been shot down by a Fokker. So we'll go on to turn 26. This is December 1916, still dry. And this is a picture that shows where Baghdad is in relationship to the fighting, just south of Ctesiphon. And the British have finally got some supply. You can see the Ford vans there that have brought some supply into the area where the headquarters can get to them. I've got the gunboats. I got a bunch of them there, and even though it's dry, they are right outside of the enemy's units that are in trenches with the 51st Division. But they also have some artillery. There's a 13th Artillery Brigade there, but it isn't a heavy weapons unit, so it doesn't have all of the shifts. But this is showing how I'm getting ready to build up to the attack. Of course, the Turks have taken some evasive maneuvers here, and they have moved the German volunteers and the German artillery into Ctesiphon. So it's not going to be an easy walk through the park to get Ctesiphon. I go into turn 27. This is January 1917. Still dry. And as I have noted here, both sides are wearing out. But the British are really have attenuated supply lines and attenuated command control. Whereas the Turks are right outside of Baghdad. Their pressure is, obviously that they're really needing to defend Baghdad. Now, in the picture, Second Corps has made some progress with the British. They've gotten all the way into Babylon, which is along that track on the left side of the map, on the western side here. And that track leads right up to a unit that is defending in Baghdad. So we'll see if that will come into play. I'm not sure that it's going to. I don't have much supply there. I just have that one mobile supply unit. And so, if I expend that in one attack, that's going to be about the end of it. These guys won't be able to maintain themselves. This is turn 28. It's February 1917. I decided to take an overview of the game map, which shows a lot of it. I changed the angle. Usually I'm shooting from south to north of the map. Now I'm shooting from west to east is how it's oriented toward me. So on the lower left, you see the Second Corps in Babylon, in a position sort of to outflank the Turks, but they just have no firepower there. And of course, I have a small force holding Nasiriyah, and I have a small force holding Amara, and I've got a small force in Kut, and then I've got the main prong of my attack here, trying to get into Ctesiphon, which is being defended by some strong German units, and you've got the army headquarters there with von der Goltz. So it's going to be really tough to break through this area. We go to March 1917. This is the last turn of the game. And I did an all-out attack with the British here. I really didn't have enough time to do anything with the Second Corps, and it's raining, so that didn't really help me that much. But I did the best I could to attack the forces at Ctesiphon. I wanted to get into Ctesiphon, and I just wasn't able to do it. I blew the forces out, but I wasn't able to have enough to get back into it to control it. And Ctesiphon would have been worth 1 victory point. So when I tally everything up, what I need to win, the lowest victory I can win as the British is a tactical victory, and I would need 8 victory points to get it. And as luck would have it, what I have is 7. And if I could have got that unit into Ctesiphon this turn, I would have won barely a tactical victory as the British. But because I didn't, this goes down as a draw. Basically, a debacle for the British, really. They did secure, the pipeline and the oil supplies down and the ports down there, but it was kind of a disaster here. They didn't do that well, and they expended a lot of resources here. And the Turks still control Baghdad and even their fort in Ctesiphon. Although, as the game goes on, no doubt Ctesiphon will fall, and very possibly the British will get into Baghdad. But for what? Anyway, thanks for watching this series of videos. I hope you enjoyed this. I might have some comments about this game afterwards. So I wanted to comment a little bit to my playthrough of Blood on the Tigris. I think it's a very good game, but I know some people won't like it. And there are certain aspects about the way Perry Moore designs a game that are really good for people like me that like to tinker and enjoy the story and the narrative that unfolds. And I enjoy the game for that point. And I've spent some time in like doing a minor rules rewrite to try to make it a little bit more approachable. And I've obtained and read through some of Perry Moore's rules that were eliminated by the Decision Games team back in the day. There's not a lot of resources available on this game, but on Board Game Geek at this moment, it's rated a 6, which is actually not bad for a magazine game. Some people like it. One of the things that it does quite well is it shows the logistical problems of supporting combat in World War I in Mesopotamia, primarily trying to use the Tigris River to get from Basra to Baghdad and to keep your army in supply the farther away it gets from your base in Basra. And so it shows that very well. And it also shows that the closer you get to Baghdad, the easier it is for the Turks to manage their forces and supply. So it does show, interior lines and the effects of that and attenuation of your supply lines. I looked through some of the comments. There is a lot not said here. Somebody did make a comment that rates the game 7.5, which I thought was good, but they mentioned me in the comment. It says extension 23, who's from Connecticut, said, with the amended rules uploaded by E.R. Bickford to the games page on Board Game Geek, this becomes a game that does everything a magazine game should do. It holds my attention and teaches me something about the history of the conflict that dovetails nicely with the historical articles in the issue. This is definitely not a game I would recommend for face-to-face competitive play, but as a solitaire game played out intermittently over a week or so. I really came to appreciate the logistical difficulties in the theater and ended up with a game result close to the historical one, which I consider a good sign. Not sure about the replay value, but I definitely enjoyed it. And I think that was an excellent comment, not because I mentioned my rules rewrite, but it does show that I think the game is okay. And you can work your way through it if you can be a little bit creative. But I do have to say the Decision Games development team kind of massacred the rules, and I wished I would have done a better job on the rewrite, but it does help it to become something that you might be able to use. So anyway, I had to delete my account on Board Game Geek quite a few years ago, unfortunately, because of a professional issue. But so those rules aren't there anymore. Maybe I will upload them on my current account some way, and then I'll get them back on Board Game Geek. Otherwise, look in the video and find my description, and you can reach out to me. You can make a comment and maybe reach out to my email, send me a private message, and I can email you the PDF of my rules. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this game series. I really like Blood on the Tigris. Have a great day.